Hey everybody, Nick here with the second ever episode of Killing for Sport. We had a great episode for you last week with Candyman, and we're back at you with Sleepaway Camp. And I'm going to be honest, I had never heard of this movie until Kevin recommended it. But anywho, here's my co-hosts, starting with the man who introduced the movie, Kevin. How's it going, Kevin?
Oh, man. So it's going fine. It's going pretty good, actually. I do want to note, the same way that I broke this to Nick, if you have not seen the movie, go ahead and stop the podcast right now. Go watch the movie. It's on Amazon Prime, or at least it was as of October 8th.
2019. In case you're listening to this in the year 2050.
It is also on Tubi for free.
Ah, yes. With ads, but be that as it. Yeah, watch the movie, then check back in because you do not need any spoilers at all. Do not Google this movie. Just watch it and report back.
Because the spoilers define the movie.
Correct. But other than that, yes, Nick, I am good. Can't wait to talk about this.
Anywho, and then we also have my friend and yours, Logan. How's it going, Logan?
I think this is going to be interesting conversation here.
I think Kevin this might be Kevin's last podcast. Just kidding. And then last but not least, the guy who has held up the podcast for way too long, Charles. How's it going, Charles?
Pretty good. Hey, now, I did get a new mic this time, so it won't sound like someone eating celery like it did last time.
In Charles's defense, I actually held up last time, or the last episode, far longer than Charles held up today's episode. So,
yeah, I was about 26 minutes this time.
I think I was about an hour.
Can we get a good hashtag for Charles eating celery?
We might have to get video of Charles eating celery now.
Yes, I'll take a picture. I'm excited for this episode. I think it's going to be a great one. This movie it's hilarious, it's entertaining, and it's got, like we said, watch it first because you'll see it's great.
And I think we're going to have a lot of differing of opinions on this as well.
So we'll go ahead and get things started. This movie starts out. I first thought it was a flash forward when it shows the Camp Arawak sign.
Yeah, you mean taking place after the events of the movie?
Correct. It's just kind of there.
Right, and they put it there at the beginning too. I think that something happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it sets this.
Did we lose you, Kevin?
I'm sorry, I said it sets the scene.
Okay, cool. So then you have these people boating around, swimming, doing things you do in a lake with New York accents.
Yeah, so we could assume that's on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Jersey,
Guy in the wife beater was a douche.
That subject is probably going to come up at least a dozen more times.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was a father and two kids. Their names, so it was John, and then there was and Peter. They're on a boat. And the friend of the father, I guess, was on the shore, and there were some kids motorboating or skiing. And
as I understood it, those were actually employees of the Camp Arawak.
Was that at Camp Arawak when they were kids?
From the research that I did, as minimal as it was, it does appear as though those were people who were related to Camp. Now, feel free, Twitter or Facebook or whoever, to correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I do believe that to be.
Yeah, I suppose they could have been. working at that same camp. But they just the boat is scared and are being pulled, and then this girl wants to drive. Protests, but then he just gives in and lets her drive. And in the most like awkwardly filmed scene, the boat just kind of to them. It's not quite clear what happened, but one thing I've noticed is this establishes the first of our 4 themes in this movie. When something goes awry, people and this happens several times in this movie because the guy on the shore says John, and he screams, and then the kids are in the boat. They're just all staring. Don't even act or do anything. He doesn't just take action and jump into the water to swim over them to help them. Very awkward, and this happens time and time again throughout this movie.
Like wife beater dudes, like turn the wheel.
Yeah,
and like,
yeah.
no.
Before they,
And her motor skills escape her at that exact moment.
right.
So yeah, then you have what was easily the worst death in the movie. The body just floating.
Right.
As a horror fan, casual one at that, was expecting gore and have his head being chopped off. And I got none of that.
And there's only one person freaking out, and that's the girl in the life jacket.
Right, she's the only one who's got it right, actually, despite the horrible acting. But
Everybody else is just standing there.
yeah, exactly.
So
And
you can tell right off the bat that this movie takes itself way too seriously.
oh, definitely. And you see the one of the life vests pop up with all kinds of like or brain matter. It looks like. So you're assuming, oh, the kids died. It just years later, next scene, right?
Yes, I believe the next scene is what, 8 years later?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. More than that. Yeah.
8
More than 5 years.
later.
Yeah. And if you thought the previous scene had some cheese in it, right away, this scene ups the cheese factor.
Can
and
I
I think
just
it's
say real fast, the lady that played the aunt / mom of Ricky is the best actor, actress, whatever, in the entire film.
Yeah.
Like, just chewed up all of the scene.
she chewed up the scenery. Yeah.
It was
Like-
glorious.
Like she's actually trying.
At the same time, I couldn't help but cringe the few times she was on screen. I guess
I
she's
think
supposed
that-
to be eccentric, but
Yeah, I mean, I do. I think that's the point. Is that
Yeah.
She is, quote, extra. But yeah, that I don't know. Again, I guess we'll get into this later, but I absolutely think that she is maybe one of the best characters in the whole film.
yeah, she is interesting. Let's see here. Walks around and she says things like, "Oh, I forgot to pack your lunches, or did I?" Or something like that.
Well, no,
Things.
there was the medical record. That was the big thing.
Right, she forges the medical records. Or at least she doesn't forge them, but she signs them herself because she's a doctor.
Correct. Yeah.
That's key to the story.
Obviously, was on something, whether it was the actress or she was method acting. I don't know. Kind of like Joaquin Phoenix and the Joker. I'm not sure.
It sounded like she was acting for a play.
Yeah. Like I said, this movie.
She's
takes
probably
itself,
a theater actor.
Yeah, but this movie takes itself way too seriously. So I'm very confused by this scene.
Well, we're introduced to our main.
Two main characters. Well, but at this point, you're not sure who the main characters really are.
Right.
Like, I had no idea that the employees or whomever anybody was in the first scene.
I was halfway expecting like people just start getting slashed.
Yeah. So you have Ricky and Angela introduced. Angela is a mute because she's triggered by the
Traumatized.
Yeah.
Suffered an ordeal.
Yeah.
Yes.
She saw somebody not get their head cut off. That
Well,
was
she
like
lost her family.
the
Yeah,
lamest
yeah.
boating accident I've ever seen in a horror movie.
It was awkwardly shot. Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah. So we're introduced to them. The aunt's obviously on drugs. And they go to camp. And they're all running. And I'm not sure why they're running, but they're running somewhere.
They're excited.
But, I mean, to be honest, at this point, as somebody who's never seen the movie before, it's very confusing. Like, I feel like I really didn't understand what was going on until maybe the last 30 minutes of the movie.
Yeah,
really?
same.
So, but there's that creepy, just outright disturbing scene where that chef is just kind of like oogling over all the kids running.
He might
Correct.
be my favorite character of the
Oh,
movie.
no. Please.
God.
No, I don't mean that. I don't mean.
I'm not editing that out.
No, and I don't mean it in the like I'm for it way.
Uh-huh.
It's more like he was the first interesting character to
Uh-oh.
me.
Off to hell
Yeah.
we go.
He was an interesting character,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to see every
Yeah.
single scene he was going to be in to see what was next. You couldn't keep your eye off of him.
Just keep digging.
Oh, sure.
Just keep digging. Just keep digging.
I'm
And
actually
I
going to
think
go
we- I
ahead
think
and
we
side
can-
with it. I'm going to side with Logan for a second because up until this point, there was no real character that like actually stood out.
And like
And
go ahead.
He stood out for the wrong reasons. Don't get me wrong.
Right. And at this point, I was thinking that maybe he was going to be the murderer the way things were setting up. As crazy as that sounds.
Oh, I figured he was going to be the first to die.
I just thought he would play a bigger role
Yeah.
with him being so
Well,
creepy.
he had his. And then what's even equally as disturbing is seems fully aware of like what saying about when he's talking about the kids, and he just kind of laughs it off and walks away. And he
Oh,
doesn't.
dude. Total pedophile.
What's
Total
wrong
pedophile.
with
There's
you?
no getting around it. That guy is just a total fucking creep.
But yeah, and his assistant cook, Ben. Remember
Ben, yes.
he just like waves his hand at him.
What was he? What did he
What
actually
he's
say?
saying.
Young fresh chickens.
Yeah, look at all them young fresh chicken. Back at home, we called them baldies.
Oh god. All I know
Cringe. Yeah.
All I know is that, and this isn't necessarily a spoiler, but just a cursory evaluation of the entire camp staff, Ben is the only one who is not a creep.
Yeah, he's the only. There's a few nice people.
No, I mean, yeah, there are some innocuous members of the staff, but
Yeah.
and we'll get into Mel a lot later, because
Oh boy. Yeah.
wow, Mel is
He's something.
a real star.
Yeah, he's a good actor, I think.
Oh, for sure.
So in case anybody doesn't know, and anybody doesn't know, Mel is the head of the camp. He plays a significant role in the film much later, but and he just says to the pedophile, he just says, or the cook, they're too young to understand what's on your mind, and then he just laughs and walks away instead of being creeped out and disturbed by this, which is weird, but
Yeah.
what happens after that?
So we're introduced to the guy in the red shorts, very short shorts.
Ronnie.
Ronnie.
You're gonna have to be more specific.
So I don't
Yeah.
know any of these characters' names. I'm just going by what they look like, i.e., the pedophile or the guy who wears really short red shorts.
Guy with his dick hanging out for the first scene.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we could say this is our second theme that runs throughout the movie, is like this told, well, that was what it was like in the 80s.
It was different, yeah.
It's true to a point, but you never see like that much just stereotypical 80s crammed into
Is that how
one
people actually
80s
dressed
horror
in the
film.
80s?
It is 100% how people dressed in the 80s. I only know that because I was a child of the 80s, seen pictures of my dad
So
when I was a kid.
you and
So,
your dad just had hot red shorts on with your dick hanging out?
I cannot vouch for the
You
dicks,
walked into
but
that. I had
the
to.
shorts were short.
Just
When-
different times.
There's some of the weirdest, like,
But
Well,
also,
also, the most
Yeah.
important point is the random numbers on
Yes.
t-shirts.
you see that like at least more than 5 times, I think. Just that's like a
Is that another
80s
theme?
horror too.
I think that's just the 80s. I don't know.
Yeah.
Dicks hanging out,
yeah.
random number
Numbers.
shirts, you name
Random
it.
jerseys, no team names, no player
Cocaine.
names, just numbers.
You got it. So yeah, so
But before we go on, I just think nobody thought about like short shorts as short shorts back then. Like it was just a
No,
thing
they
that
were just
everybody
shorts.
did.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so was the dress code not really a thing until like the 2000s? Like,
Well, I mean, nobody cared about like whether it was fingertip length or anything. So,
dress code goes with the times, I guess.
well, anyway, so we're pushed back into the kitchen area, where Angela and Ricky are, and they're cornered by the pedophile.
Well, hang
well,
on.
originally, it's just Angela because Ricky doesn't come in through until much later.
We missed though the introduction to, the
How they got there.
the bad guys. Yeah.
Okay, how did they get there? Sorry for jumping ahead.
Well, that's okay. They got to the cabin, and right away we're just introduced to these like evil people that are like right from the get go that take a disliking to Angela in the
Well,
women's
and
dorm.
this is specifically the girls, though, right?
Yeah, Meg and Judy. So Judy is just the all around mean girl, I guess.
Yeah, Meg is, I think, the big bad. So to speak.
Right, Meg is the head counselor of the women's dorm who is like in cahoots with Judy in terrorizing Angela throughout the film, which we'll get into. But then I believe, oh yeah, and by this, at this point, Angela has not said anything. Could draw a lot of attention to you, but
No, I don't think Angela actually said a word.
No.
She's several seasons.
just kind of stares. So it is pretty creepy, but I'd still feel for her more than anybody else. Here it's in the we're in the cafeteria where Nick was talking about.
Correct, and then she is more or less accosted by Artie, the pedophile cook. I think is
Yeah.
probably just the accurate or description of the guy.
Yeah, and that scene's particularly disturbing because
It is disturbing.
you see him, he's pulling off his belt, and you're like, okay,
Oh,
when is
yeah.
this gonna stop?
Yeah, it escalates further than it probably should have.
Yeah.
And then Ricky enters the scene. Oh, suddenly we're immediately de-escalated. Well, then we jump back into the kitchen, and something is amiss.
Right.
So
Yeah.
Artie is cooking or preparing the night's dinner, and suddenly someone question mark is
Friday the 13th point
in
of
the
view.
room with them. Yes, Friday the 13th.
Al.
And they're very strategically adjusting the stool that he is standing on to add seasoning into whatever soup is being made for that evening.
Kind of corn thing.
Yes, they made a real big thing out of adding corn.
It's like a 4 foot tall pot. isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's just a vat of soup.
Well, that's how the pedophile was going to cook the kids, right?
And then the stool is yanked from under Artie's feet, and corn and soup poured all over the deserving Artie, who suffers, I don't know, 30th degree burns all over his body.
It looks great though. It looks really good.
It's
puffing up and stuff.
Oh yes, and he does not stop. Which just to illustrate exactly how much during the period.
So I will say that my first, and this is going to be a running theme for me this episode, I'm going to guess, or I'm going to say who I guessed at this point in the movie, who I thought the killer was. And based on the guy's arms, because you see the guy's arms.
Yeah, you see this. Yeah.
It looked like the guy in the red shorts.
Yeah, and because you see the hands, they're a Caucasian person's hands, so I think that's the only thing you see through the entire movie.
They're very manly too.
Yeah, very veiny, big.
Like a guy that wears red shorts with his dick hanging out.
And it was tan, and that dude was tan.
It looked exactly like him. Like, how could it not be this guy?
It could be.
Yeah. You never know. You have to listen to the entire episode to find out.
Or watch the movie.
Yeah. Hopefully you're watching the movie before you watch this. If you're not, you should just pause it and watch the movie.
Just one thing I wanted to point out, we glossed over it, but before Artie's about to do his, have his way, the kids run out. Oh, I think this is the time we were first introduced to him up close. He is standing in the kitchen and he sees the kids run out, and then Artie walks out and he says, "What was that all about?" Brooke says, "I guess I scared him." Then he does nothing.
And
that's
then
it.
He adjusts his belt.
Yeah, he's walking out adjusting his belt,
and nobody notices. Or does
he just lets him go. He doesn't go up to the kids and say, "Was he giving you a hard time? Was he doing anything?" No, just lets it go.
Yeah, very 80s. And then another thing I wanted to talk about with this death, or if you can really call it that, it wasn't very creative.
Wasn't creative?
It was not creative.
Yeah, but the effects were good.
The effects were very good.
The effects were good.
For that time. Yeah.
But he didn't. He also didn't die.
Right.
Right, yeah, maybe not. Yeah.
He might come back in a later series.
Artie's Revenge, Sleepaway Camp 6.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and after that, Mel wants to cover it up, and he ups the pay of all the cookie staff and the maintenance staff so they don't tell anybody.
He's our Kevin Dunn.
Yeah. Fuck it, we'll do it live. All these wrestling jokes, Charles is the only one that's not going to understand them.
I know, but it's still fun.
Yeah. So, you meet the owner for the first time, and he sure is something.
Yeah, he looks like a walking corpse almost, and his face looks like it's hanging off his head, and
he looks
he's
like
an actor though.
A walking New Jersey stereotype.
Yeah.
He has the gold necklace, everything.
That's right. Yeah, he has those kind of slip-on dress shoe things, like they're like white leather, some kind of gangster type. I'm not sure.
I not knowledge that much of his appearance, I'll be honest.
So I think we have to endure some of the most pointless scenes in the entire movie.
Like the baseball game?
Yeah, it almost seems like filler, to be honest.
Yeah,
I swear to God, that baseball game was only there to add 5 minutes to the whole movie.
Yeah, we could probably just bypass it. I don't think there was anything in it.
Yeah, folks, there's a 5-minute baseball scene
that happens for no reason.
on for 2 minutes and it fades to black, and you think, all right, it's done, and then it fades back in and goes for another 2 minutes. It's
And I kept waiting for like a fight to break out or something like
Right,
somebody get
yeah.
murdered or something, but nothing happens. It's just
Yeah.
a baseball game.
over
Which
that.
is ultimately the scene right before the big evening social, where
Yes.
Angela meets. I guess this is the red shorts guy. I don't know if I ever took his name.
Yeah, the social.
Is it red shorts guy? Or is it different guy? Is it a different guy?
She meets Paul. Paul's wearing, I believe, jeans and a polo.
Okay, so
Kinda,
Paul
right?
is then the love interest for it, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
Um,
I never jotted Paul.
that's Christopher Collet. He's in such hits as The Langoliers by Stephen King.
Oh, fuck!
It's
I hate that movie so
Horrific,
much.
yeah, horrific film. Yeah. Has some of the worst. Is that CGI? Not to get too off topic. But
I think it was actually filmed in real time.
okay.
Were 100% actual real footage.
I like
No, I meant 90s CGI.
So moving on, we have the
wait.
evenings
I can't-
social.
I can't wait to pick that.
Yeah, the evening.
I'll let you guys.
Yeah, 4 hours.
yourselves. This is staying in, by the way.
It's
Yeah,
longer
the
than
Langoliers.
WrestleMania.
The Langoliers, everybody.
I've never
More
heard of this
uncomfortable
movie.
than the finish to Hell in a Cell. All right. So yeah, this is where Paul and Angela start talking, and Angela doesn't utter an entire word prior to this scene. So
And
she's
he
finally starting to
persists.
come out of
Yeah.
her shell, and yeah, he persists a little bit, which is nice. I mean, you know, I actually have this in the show notes as boy meets girl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's genuine. He knows she's going through a hard time, and
Right, because
I can't remember.
He points out that Ricky told him all about the situation with her family and how there was the big boating.
Oh, that's right.
So yes, he is sympathetic to her situation, and I mean, it's not really until that point that you really kind of put together that honestly that whole scene from the very, very beginning of the movie about Angela, and she was really part of that. I mean, it's kind of clear. I've seen this movie probably 5 times, so it was clear to me upon the second watching, of course. But they didn't really do a great job of illustrating this really linear storytelling.
Yeah, because there's
that.
that.
Yeah.
At the beginning, there's just that one part where says, "Tell Angela to stop picking on me," and so you're supposed to realize, oh, okay, so she's the girl.
Right. So I mean, unless you picked up on that, which was
Kid died. Yeah.
super quick, this is
Right. I did not
Yeah.
pick up on that the first time I saw this. But at the social, there's that. I can't remember if this is before Paul talks to Angela, but yeah, it must be. A big fight breaks out. Angela's being picked on by these 2 guys. They're making fun of the way she walks, I guess. And Ricky and Paul walk in. Ricky has this horrible, like, cowboy hat on. His head. It's really awkward, really weird. And that's just something that it sticks out like a sore thumb. And then,
he's a teenager. He's trying stuff. I mean,
right.
we all went through the cowboy hat phase.
Yeah, there's a couple of the random number shirts in there in that scene. And then, so the fight breaks out, and this is keeping with our first theme is Mel, Meg, and then the assistant counselor are just staring. They do nothing. Catch that?
No.
They're just Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Remember?
I
Yeah,
didn't
as they're
notice it.
fighting. It shows
that
them
tracks,
just
yeah.
staring at them fighting. Yeah, it was weird. So, yeah, that's when Paul talks to her, like we said. And for the first time in the movie, I'm pretty sure it's over 20 minutes at that point, speaks and tells him good night. And then he turns around in the most cheesy fashion. He goes, "Good night." And it's
That
terrible.
was weird.
It's
I
bad.
do remember that.
Yes, it's one of those little victories. Yeah, it definitely. A little strange,
Yeah.
but
You could tell like it was his first girl crush because the way he said it.
Right.
So, can I just go ahead and jump to the next death scene in the lake?
Yeah, that's
sure,
pretty much
sure.
where
I mean,
where it's
we're
at.
pretty much
Yeah.
there.
Okay, so at this point, I was really hoping that it was going to be a creature of some kind, like the creature from the Black Lagoon,
What?
and he just eats everyone or something. Something would just be more entertaining than this movie at this point.
This is new.
Wow.
No, never heard that one.
So he starts talking like when the boat flips, and he's under the boat. He just starts talking to himself.
Yeah, well, yeah,
That's because he's
like
a fucking goof. I mean, let's be honest. This guy was a complete idiot.
Yeah.
I guess he was stoned. He was smoking
I mean, that
before he
makes
got
sense.
on the boat.
So and then the person pops up and he says, "Hey, what are you doing here?"
So it's someone he knows,
Well,
right?
okay, so here's my new theory. At this point, the dad from the first scene is still alive and he's the killer.
What would he-
Just go with
Oh,
it.
from the beginning.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because it kind of looks like him.
Okay. So he didn't die.
Correct.
You mean it kind of looked like him? You don't even see the person's face.
Right, but from the back.
Oh.
And the way they're building this movie so far, you know that it's going to be off the wall like that, like it could be the dad or something.
Yeah, and it looked like a dude.
Also, the same people, picking on Angela, and Ricky's coming to her rescue. It could be Angela because she's being picked on, or it could be Ricky protecting her,
Oh,
Right.
It's
protecting her, but killing the people.
it's neither of those though. So,
Okay, well, you're not supposed to.
well, I'm saying it's obviously no one
Way
at
to
this
bury
point
the
really
lead,
thinks
Nick.
it's Angela or Ricky. Nobody in their right mind
Hey,
thinks it's Angela. Or
You don't know that.
No, nobody thinks that. So when they actually discover the body, so the first confirmed kill actually looked
Yes.
pretty good.
This was the best one, I thought.
Yeah.
It made me
That's right.
cringe a little.
And this is also like, I don't know what we're on now. The third or fourth theme, I'm pointing out all of them, is the deaths themselves. Most of them are really dry and almost bloodless. But then the after effects are like great. I mean, the special effects look really good, like the after gore effects.
Sure. No, I actually picked up on that as well. The deaths themselves were kind of meh, but they did kind of go all out or I guess makeup
Yeah,
after
those
that.
are pretty good. And he's got like a snake coming out of his mouth.
That was disturbing.
Guy, or is that a dummy?
So then Angela suddenly talks.
There's no transition point to her coming out of her shell. She's just immediately
Yeah.
social now. Just after that one time she said goodnight, she's now completely comfortable with Paul, and she talks to other people, and it's just strange.
And then this is the weirdest bullying scene I've ever seen in a movie. The one where
The balloons?
they come up to Angela and they say, "Are you swimming or not?" with the main camp counselor right off camera, and runs in. And says, whoa. What are you guys doing?
Yeah, doesn't she slap Angela in the face?
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
Oh yeah, it's like Angela's not talking to her, and she just loses her shit completely.
Yeah, wouldn't that get you fired? But the head counselor is right there, and he says, "I want to talk to you in my shack or in my office," and that's it.
Yeah.
Fired.
And then the next scene was pretty interesting as well, because you have the kids throwing water balloons off the roof with the owner being right there in the frame, and it just doesn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, he doesn't tell him to get down. He only tells him after they hit Angela, and he tells him how dangerous it is. He doesn't say anything before that.
Right. And then he punishes Ricky because Ricky's, fighting back.
Cussing at them, yeah.
Yeah. And then the main bully, this was a pretty interesting death scene for me. And I actually thought the bar that was covering the door, this is really dumb, but I thought it was a hot dog blocking the door.
Yeah, very dumb. Very, very dumb.
What is it? Like, what kind of...
I mean, I can only assume it was like a mop or a broom or some.
It was really
Definitely
skinny,
not a
though.
hot dog.
It was a long-ass hot dog.
Like a
6
dry
foot
hot
long.
dog.
6 foot long. Hell yeah.
Return of the Candyman.
Very, very, yeah, Wicker Man,
Yes.
Candyman-esque.
We're 2 for 2 on the bees.
Bees! Not the bees!
What's next week?
Fucking bees.
I don't know. Are there any
The gate,
bees in the next
The
episode?
gate
Oh,
and-
There are
I
moths.
remember.
and
Farm-
they live.
I feel like in the 90s, and this is off topic, like they used to have like a lot of made for TV like killer bee movies.
That
Oh,
might
yeah.
explain
Yeah.
that why, as a child who grew up in the late '80s, early '90s, that I was terrified of bees.
Like
Oh yeah, I
like
remember that.
NBC and ABC, like they would all like make their own killer bee movies.
Yeah.
Because at the time on the news they were saying they're gonna take over California.
Yeah,
they're gonna
yeah.
take over every.
So they decided to
African-
make movies to scare you.
African killer bees.
Scary, yeah.
Yes. Oh my God, I almost brought that up.
Africanized bees.
The
yeah.
Africanized bees. Yes. I mean, which. Wow.
As far as bugs go, in the gate we will see moths, and
So yeah, so
They're pretty
this is
creepy.
this is a very creepy kill and unsettling. And my new killer theory, ladies and gentlemen, Al Gore.
but what
That is
what
a
happened?
real bold stance for a film that was made in 1983.
So
A very young Al Gore.
door right, and then they cut like the window screen open, and then dropped a little
Sure.
hornets or beehive into the
Nest, yeah.
stall, and the guy can't just. He's just like thrashing around. He can't get out, and then he finally does, and he's just like covered in like these the most. It looks great, but it's like these huge like blisters, and he's all blue and black just from some bees stinging him. I guess he was really allergic,
Yeah.
but
So Mel finds the body and immediately thinks Ricky is a suspect. I still don't understand a week later why Ricky is the suspect.
well, he explains that he sees the hate in Ricky's eyes when he cusses and yells at people that picked on his cousin, so he thinks the killer's Ricky.
Right.
I don't think that's a good reason, but that's what he thinks.
So we get to this weird makeout session next, and then we suddenly have the kids on the bed, and turns to a gay sex scene. And
Yeah,
did this dream
right.
actually happen? Like I didn't really understand.
I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the way I interpreted it is that that I guess Angela encountered this occurrence at some point, and that jarred her in the flashback to where she's like, "Nope, I'm out."
Yeah, we see So we found out, I guess. So Peter and Angela are watching their dad, who we saw, at the beginning, and the guy who was on the shore. They're
Was
gay
that them
lovers.
too? I didn't
Yeah.
realize that was them. Wow.
Yeah, so they were gay, I guess, and the kids are just watching, laughing, and they think it's funny. And there's this awkward scene where they're on a spinning bed, and then it's like just pointing at Angela, just like holding his finger up. It's a little awkward, but it means something, I guess. It's a hint, but we'll find out later. But yeah, Angela says no, and she gets up and runs away from Paul.
So yeah. Judy is obviously creepy as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what her problem is. Is she jealous of Paul, or
Yeah.
or she's jealous of Angela talking to Paul? I don't know.
Right. So they decide to have a game of capture the flag. And
Well, I guess, did you mention where how it ended, that scene where like she pushed him away and then ran off?
No, what happened?
Well, I mean, that I kind of alluded to that earlier because I mean that was, I guess, Paul and Angela's makeouts. She kind of they went to the flashback, and then she suddenly freaks out and is like, "Nope, no way, I'm out." Pushes him off and then runs.
Right, right.
So that's where it kind of sort of gets. I mean, in retrospect, it's a lot weirder, I guess, because I mean, to I guess point, you could think, oh yeah, she's just not ready for that kind of commitment. I don't know.
That's what I
yeah.
thought.
But
Yeah.
yeah, she that it got a little too physical for her liking, so she took off.
It's just weird that she was thinking of that particular memory.
Right, and I think it was after watching the whole movie, or I guess seeing it a second time, that you really kind of put two and two together that was really
course.
what was kind of that the flashback scene is really kind of her memory and kind of pushing her away from the scene.
I guess the best thing to do would be to come back to it later.
Yeah, of course, definitely. That we're gonna have quite a bit of that to do. Because there's a lot, we can't really say until.
Right.
well, but I wanted to talk about the capture the flag scene because I thought when Angela and Ricky were going into the woods, they were going to become kissing cousins.
Sick.
Sorry.
I never felt that.
Sorry,
was gonna
Charles.
happen.
Yeah, I didn't.
Wait, hold on. Wait, whoa. Oh. All right, well, let's move past that.
Yeah, it's staying in though. But
Okay, fair enough.
I had to get a joke in. Sorry.
okay. So yeah, Judy.
Judy is a demented bitch.
She's making out with Paul, and it's weird though because throughout the movie she looks jealous, like I said, of Paul, but then you find out it seems more so that she's just using Paul to get back at Angela.
No, I mean Judy's just
she
a bitch.
doesn't even
I mean,
care.
let's be honest.
She doesn't even care about Paul after that. But it seemed like she did. Yeah.
No, I mean I think Judy was just a bitch. Judy and Meg are just protagonists. Like I don't think they serve any other purpose. Just be total utter bitch. I mean,
they're just mean.
Yeah.
Ew.
So they go for the swim, and
I mean, it's not exactly an optional swim. Basically
bullying
in the lake
to the max. Why is the owner allowing bullying right in front of him? Why is he not allowing Ricky to save?
at that exact moment, Mel's too busy telling Ricky that he's the killer. So I mean,
Right.
like he's not even paying any attention to the bullying going on because he's too busy like just throwing the book at Ricky and
yes,
just going completely off the fucking deep end. By the way, I mean, I can't remember if this is before or after Mel has been like, no, sorry. I guess
the second time he's accusing.
This is before. This is the second time that Mel is accused Ricky, but this is before a different scene that we'll get back to momentarily. That for sure involves Mel, but yeah. So Mel's already kind of got his fur up in it,
And the thing is, though, he actually does acknowledge what's happening, which makes it even weirder because he tells Ricky, "What, are you gonna go and protect her every time she's in trouble, huh?" As he's like, he does see Angela being thrown in the water. If you hear him, if you listen to his ranting, which is strange.
So. I apologize if I'm jumping a little bit ahead, but this is, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, this is right around the same time that he is, or right before he goes and asks Meg on a date, which is like, okay, for starters, Mel is like, gotta be in his 60s. There's no way that Mel
she's in her 20s.
Below, like, 58 at the earliest, right? Like, and he's basically asking Meg on a date, and like
she's into it.
I go back to the whole theme of all of the employees were just utter trash. Like, other than Ben, who was very gracious that they got a raise after Artie was unceremoniously boiled, but yeah, this entire crew of the camp is just a bunch of garbage.
Yeah, so
and she's totally into it when he asks her out.
Yeah,
sure.
This is a great part.
It's like 20 years old.
Basically, Meg going into the shower, and I think this is the best kill.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh yeah,
in the whole movie.
Yeah.
There's blood.
Yeah. And I will say that my new killer theory at this point. You guys ready?
Yep.
Sure.
Yeah.
Mr. Rogers.
Well, if you're not going to take it seriously, Nick, I mean...
It was hard to take the movie seriously. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. Despite being the best kill, it was also... Because somehow, like... So what happens is she backs up into the wall in the shower, and somehow the killer knows that she did so because they're on the other side and they stab through the wall into Meg's back.
It's a good ass knife.
Yeah, it reminds me of that scene in Scream 2 where the guy puts his ear up to the bathroom stall and somehow the Ghostface killer knows he's doing that and stabs him through. It doesn't make any sense.
So the owner obviously has it out for Ricky at this point, and he's screaming like a howler monkey. And while this is happening,
he finds Meg, right?
Yeah. A dude with a mullet, which throws all of my theories out of the window. Everyone's theories. A dude with a mullet comes in and knocks out Judy and fornicates her with a hair straightener. With a pillow.
Yeah. Sorry, wait, no, hold on, time out. What?
You skipped a bit. So, okay,
yeah.
Judy is in the she's making out in her cabin with that guy, and that guy's he's like, I don't want to get caught, so he leaves. Somebody walks in
with a mullet,
and you can't tell who the fuck who the hell it's supposed to be.
It's a dude with a mullet, obviously.
You could see it because the thing is like HD now.
We're talking about that scene where Mel comes in and somebody's like hiding under the bed, right?
Yeah, but
No.
after that,
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
before Judy gets offed, like there's some.
Well, this is the person
You
that
know, the
lost
door-
her.
the
Is
door opens.
knocks on the door and then comes in, and it's some kid with a mullet.
Well, they're like kind of shrouded, but you could clearly see their face, and it doesn't look like anybody that
We've ever seen.
killer.
Yeah.
Which leads
It's-
me to my next theory. It's Bob Saget.
But it's the weirdest thing because we're on like, and I think before that you couldn't really tell who it was, but since the quality is so much better now, you can see it, and it looks like nobody we've seen in the movie.
Yeah.
It's strange now. So yeah, it's heavily implied that the curling iron or the hair straightener is put between Judy's legs. I think. Well,
Sure.
yeah.
And this is
that would be-
after Mel has found Meg's body.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And says, "It's Ricky. It's Ricky."
Yeah. Right.
So he confronts him, right? And beats the shit out of him while screaming incoherently about shit.
Oh yeah.
And
He's
then,
like, I got him,
lost his
Meg.
shit.
and then looks up and he gets shot in the throat. Classic.
With the arrow. That actually, you know what? In retrospect, that is my favorite kill.
Yeah, that was a pretty good kill scene.
That was good.
That looked real, like
And-
real as hell.
And I think that's a classic Bob Saget move.
And then he too, just like most of the other victims, he too recognizes who the killer is because he says, "It can't be you. It can't be." And then,
Oh, it can't be you.
It's Sting!
oh my God, it's Sting. The fresh. All right, got my wrestling joke in there.
So yes, I mean, I guess
I'm
at
the only
this
one that
point,
doesn't
then
watch wrestling.
all of the other campers realize that there is a killer on the loose somewhere, and I think Ricky
Yes.
and Angela and I guess Paul at this point are all at large. Nobody knows where they are, and they want to make sure everybody is good. And then here we are. They found Angela and Paul, and Angela is sitting over top of Paul. And
Naked.
Was she naked? Oh yeah, I guess she
Yeah.
would have
Yeah,
had
they-
to
they
have
were.
been naked.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to go ahead and take this over? Because I'm
Well,
I don't know.
the flashback scene happens.
Oh yes,
That's
the last
right. Yeah,
flashback.
it's the most important part of the whole movie, besides what happens next.
But it makes sense of what happens next.
Yeah. Who wants to? You want me to do it or?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, all right. So it flashes back to Aunt Martha. So for me, I forgot this scene happened. So once I saw Aunt Martha again, I kind of like and groaned. But she's explaining to this kid with a bandage on his head. It's talking about how she's always wanted a little girl, and so two boys are not enough. So I'm gonna
another
call
boy
you-
would never do.
She calls her Angela, and then she figures that's what I'm gonna call you. It means angel.
Well, hang on. And before we get to that, I just realized we forgot to talk about the hatchet scene.
Oh, that's right.
Oh,
With the kids, the kids crying and everything about wanting to go back, and then
Yeah, so this is like before Paul and Angela go swimming, and I think maybe after.
yeah. So
Yeah, this is according to my notes. This is before Mel finds Meg.
yeah,
So
yeah.
we've jumped around a little
okay.
bit. We jumped around just a tiny bit. Sorry.
Yeah, there's
hey,
the killer's point. We see the killer's point of view, Friday 13th style, and they look at the hatchet. Probably takes the hatchet.
Yeah, and the guy comes back to find the kids chopped up.
Yeah, it's like 3 or 4 kids just chopped.
Oh yeah.
Very
And-
Candyman-esque.
I wonder why. Of course, we later on, but
So yeah,
We'll get to
sorry. So back to what you were saying. The aunt says,
All right, so Aunt Martha's talking to this kid. He has a bandage on his head. She says she's always wanted a girl. And she mentions Ricky. She says Ricky will be so excited to see a little girl. And she then says, "Well, we'll do just fine. Don't you think so, Peter?" And we find out. So then explain. It flashes back to the present where Angela was sitting down with Paul.
And
Anyone want to take this one?
Logan?
Okay.
Logan?
So they pan out and she has a penis.
You skipped over the
Way to bury the lead. Oh my god. That
stands
was the best reveal.
I think if anybody's
Okay.
actually listened to it at this point, that they probably either A, have already watched the movie, or it's us trying to get our views up. So,
So she okay.
Well,
I'll
hey,
do
I
it a
didn't
little
make.
bit
There was no jokes. It just said she had a penis.
I'm
Sure,
not
yes.
editing that out, by the way. That's
Angela
that's
has a
the-
penis. What happens is Angela actually she stands up and Paul's head.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh yeah.
This whole episode is out of order, so it's okay.
And we can hear. So first of all, yeah, Ronnie and the head counselor and this other lady, and so it shows Angela standing there with her like mouth open in this locked.
Ugh.
Oh god.
Ugh.
He's back.
That's
We-
Candyman!
He's in the impact
Her face is-
zone.
her face is in like this locked position, and she's holding an axe. The camera pans out. She has a penis, and she's going. And then
And
Ronnie
what did
says,
the campers say? Yeah.
"Oh my God, how could it be?
Boy.
She's a boy."
She has a penis.
I don't think
Just
she
goes-
ever said she has a penis. I think she
No.
said he's a boy.
It's a
Or
baby
she's a boy.
Yeah. No,
It just goes off.
it pauses on her face in the credits, and it plays this horrible '80s song, and then you're sleeping away. Yeah,
Okay, so
to talk about now. So
real quick though, okay, now that we have actually kind of gotten through the entire movie, who saw this finish? Who saw this one coming? Did anybody, the first time they saw it, see it coming?
I only did because I read all about it back when I
Spoiled
was
yourself. Sure.
I-
Yeah,
I was about
Actually,
12 when I
but-
saw this.
I did legit think it was going to be her, but I thought it was going to be her.
Yeah, that's the real twist. Is I think for some people it's obvious Angela's the killer, but you never expected she'd be
Like,
the boy.
yeah, that's like. I honestly, because I didn't want to give spoilers away or anything, but I honestly thought it was Angela.
All right,
Just because,
please no.
Okay, settle down. whoever
Just
that was.
just because, like all the bullying and everything, like I just assumed it was her halfway through the movie, and yeah, that was definitely a twist.
Clarify though what exactly it is. So Angela is actually the boy at the beginning of the film,
Right.
and
Sure.
and
But I'm not thinking that at that time though. Like when I,
oh yeah, no, just
Oh no.
like I'm thinking it's regular Angela. That's the
yeah,
murderer,
yeah. So like just to
not Peter.
elaborate for the listeners is like so the real Angela actually died, and
Yeah.
she goes to live with Peter goes to live with Aunt Martha, and then Aunt Martha wants to have a girl, so she forces Peter to then dress up like a girl and call him Angela.
While high on
And-
peyote, by the way.
And I'm
Really?
assuming because of
Yeah.
all this, like, is why he has all these psychological like flashbacks and stuff, and
Right, that would explain why
We know what would be
Angela was
interesting
thinking.
is if the whole movie was actually like taking place on a stage, and the sorry, the aunt is the main character, and it just revolves around her, and it's,
that could be another theory.
it's kind of like what
What?
was that show with Neil Patrick Harris? from like
Doogie
Howser, and it ends up being a kid that is intellectually disabled.
That's a bold strategy.
But of course, I guess that theory ends with the sequel.
Yeah, so kind of like Super Mario Brothers 3 just takes place on a theater stage.
This is good.
Kind of like this. Just a theory.
Okay, so yeah, there's all kinds of things like that you could piece together now that makes sense. So Angela was hesitant to make out with Paul because, well, she was really Peter, and that's why she was thinking of that flashback of her gay dad.
Oh God!
I guess she felt I don't want to be gay, so she got up.
No.
But at this time though, that could actually be a thought back then because it was very taboo.
No, there's so much to unpack in this film. So much to unpack.
There's also a shitload of theories that people have about this movie. Like I'm just Googling.
Like what?
And the fact is that sorry, go ahead.
Tuesday night
Smackdown.
Sleepaway Camp theories. Give me your theories.
Well, hang on. I'm going.
I know one.
There's this two killer theory. Somebody.
Oh yeah. It was Ricky and Angela.
Yeah.
Tag team in it. Yeah.
There's also the Mozart theory.
Too. What? I'm sorry. What is the Mozart? Oh, wow, Mozart.
Kid that
yeah, the Mozart.
He actually had that knife that Angela uses.
Interesting.
Or maybe he used it. And there's also because they say Angela can't swim, but then somebody is swimming,
well,
obviously.
The boat scene where she's like under the boat and
yeah, she's
dude, man.
Right, and she
beginning of the
or it's
second. Well, actually, first official, yes, or Lake, whichever.
Lake Monster.
So she could swim perfectly, even though I think Ricky was saying she can't swim. But the real reason why she didn't want to go in the water was because if
oh Jesus Christ, no,
yeah. Be thrown in the water just like she takes showers alone. Remember they said.
I mean, okay, I can get taking showers alone because she doesn't want to actually have her anatomy exposed. But I mean, she was thrown into the water at a point, and it was never. I mean, she was.
I know, but she was afraid
about it because
she was afraid of getting exposed from that.
I mean, oh God, this is very difficult territory to walk
because she was swimming, right? We knew she could swim if she killed that kid Kenny under the boat.
Sure,
but if Angela is the official killer, then she must have been swimming. So maybe she just didn't want to be thrown in the water in front of all those people because she could risk being exposed.
I guess, but I mean, she was thrown into the water and she out, and nothing really came of it. But yeah.
It could have, though. One more thing I wanted to say about this. I had this question as to whether or not Ricky knew about Angela, and I honestly think he did, because there's no way that he would come home and see, Peter dressed up like Angela and not realize, and not say to his mom, Mom, why do you have cousin Angela?
Sure.
And
well, I mean, that's the other thing. There's I mean, to get into some of the stuff that was pointed out earlier in the film, the original flashback where she kind of forged medical record. And they did, or I don't know if they made a point of this or if I read that later, but the scene, the original scene at the lake where there was the boating, and then the next scene where they end up at Martha's house, it supposedly was 8 years later. There's no way, in my opinion, that 8 years could have passed and they would have sent her to camp and Ricky was completely oblivious of everything that was going on in that house.
I mean,
he
right.
had to have known that his mom batshit crazy.
It was a family secret, and I think
Sure.
what happened was she probably told both of them. She like threatened them maybe when they were kids and said, "If you tell anybody," because she's crazy. We know that she said she probably said like, "I'll kill you if you tell anybody, or I'll put you to sleep." And then is because Angela looks so feminine that Aunt Martha, being a doctor, had access to hormones that she would force Angela to take to make her more feminine.
And this is gonna
Although
sound
she doesn't
crazy,
have breasts,
but no,
still.
I mean I actually kind of thought about that briefly for just like a split second, but there was never any sort of allusion to her like taking pills at a point during,
Yeah.
They never really kind of went fully in that direction. So I mean,
They couldn't
didn't
show
seem-
that though, right?
Well,
Because
sure. Granted,
it
this was
reveal.
1983, so I mean, there's also,
Oh yeah, I mean, but in
how
the movie,
culturally acceptable or even relevant would it have even been in 1983? I don't.
Yeah, I guess no. I don't know if people were doing that then, like taking hormones. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
I don't know. Like trans folk, I mean, but I mean, but maybe she could have been, and right, they're not going to show that to us because that she
Sure.
was originally a boy, but I mean, that's
Right.
just
Well,
like I
I
know
mean,
the
that's
actor is
part of the-
real.
Yeah, that's also part of, the quote shock value of the movie.
Yeah,
That
mean,
is
like,
the
yeah.
twist.
The actor obviously it's a real woman, so I'm just like,
obvious. Yeah.
or anatomical woman, so I'm trying to fit that into the
Let's talk about
the
sequels.
the continuity. I think is that pretty much
Sequels?
Oh,
Theory?
real quick. Did anybody have any favorite quotes?
oh boy.
Mine is, "You're a real peckerhead." You know that, Meg?
One more thing, one more small detail.
Sequels and sequels.
It'll be 10 seconds. The kids that were hatcheted to death. I always wondered, why did she kill those kids? Those were the kids that threw sand on Angela when she got thrown in the water.
Oh.
Oh,
I
I never
didn't-
really picked up on that. Yeah.
They said that in the commentary.
Okay. I didn't realize that.
No, I didn't either until I listened to that.
Sequel talk.
So
Charles?
before we talk about sequels, is anybody gonna pick a sequel like Sleepaway Camp in the future?
Nope.
Is anybody? Repeat that.
Pick a what?
Is anybody gonna pick a sequel in the future? If
Oh,
we
hell
talk
yeah.
about sequels.
To
Absolutely.
Sleepaway Camp. I mean, I'm not opposed to it.
Nope.
That's why I'm gonna.
Schedule set. Nope.
I would watch the shit out of Sleepaway Camp too. I haven't
No.
seen it yet.
Now, I did read on Reddit that it's more so of like a comedy parody. Has anybody seen it and can say that's true?
It is absolutely true. Parts 2 and 3. That is what we're going to talk about, I guess, in the now sequel rundown.
So Charles, there is also Return to Sleepaway Camp, which was I think 2008. Have you seen that one? Is that
Yeah, I have. I've seen it once. I'll get to that. So we do have some Sleepaway Camp sequels. There's 2 and 3. Spoilers: Angela is the killer. Since we know that we see her the whole time doing the killings and one-liners, and it's very campy. Doesn't even feel at all the same like tone as the first movie. There's no mystery killer aspects, and there's also really no tension. They are incredibly gory, and they have some awesome practical effects, and give too much away about them because I would honestly say that they should have their own episode on the show.
Okay. Now, I don't want to spoil it, but at the same time, does her character evolve? Like,
No.
okay, so she pretty much just stays a killer.
She's psychotic, yeah.
Okay.
follow-up
yeah.
question? Is it still Felissa Rose?
Repeat the question?
Is it still Felissa Rose sequels, or is it a different?
Sorry, you keep cutting out. Sorrow sequels?
Is it still Felissa Rose? in
Oh,
the sequels?
Rose. Okay. No, it is not. It is Pamela Springsteen, who looks nothing like Felissa Rose, and she's Bruce Springsteen's little sister, actually.
Oh, wow.
No fucking way.
Nothing like Angela from the first movie.
So, with that in mind, I wanted to point out that I have in my own notes that I inaccurately thought that that Sleepaway Camp was the most New Jersey film ever made outside of the Askewniverse. I found out later. I did a little bit of Googling this afternoon and found out apparently it was actually filmed closer to Manchester, New Hampshire, north of Albany. So it's actually, even though it like the accents are the most New Jersey, New York
I know.
I have ever heard in any movie ever. Yeah. Actually, it is a more of an upstate New York, Manchester, New Hampshire style.
Yeah, I figured New England somewhere.
Yeah.
Um,
I was very surprised by that.
Yeah, as for Return to Sleepaway Camp, it is done by the director of the original, and it ignores 2 and 3, and
It's just an actual
I believe it was made
sequel.
2000. Right, and it continues the continuity of the first, I guess more faithfully, I suppose, but 5, it didn't come out till 2008, and that, if you watch it, you'll see why. It's not that great. I would recommend it.
Is she still posed as Angela in the sequels?
Yeah, Felissa Rose, it reveals, I guess Angela escaped from the institution, and she's the killer in the, I don't know, the camp. I think it's the camp renovated, the same camp, but it just shows her at the very end. She's revealed to be the killer.
Okay. Are the guys trying to hook up with her still? Or one guy? Or
No, you don't see her the whole movie until...
Oh, wow. And what about the sequels, like 2 and 3? Or not actual sequels, but
Oh, did people try to hook up with her?
Yeah, similar to how the first one. Is like a guy that tries to...
Yeah, kind of, yeah. And the second one, the guy asks her on a date. That doesn't really go anywhere. And then she just rejects it.
Is she a mute at the beginning in that one as well?
No, she talks the whole movie. But they try to explain that by making her say, "Oh, when I was younger, I wouldn't talk to anybody, but now I can't shut up." You try to explain like, well, why is she so different? But it honestly doesn't feel like Angela from the first, but it's pretty good still. I'd recommend them both.
Maybe Nick will pick it for like a future episode.
Nope.
Why not, Nick? Those movies are like awesome.
So, do you have any what did IMDb or Rotten Tomatoes say on this? Do you have that, Nick?
Nope.
The sequels?
I was just curious what an overview of the regular Sleepaway Camp, what reviews were on it.
I think
it has a
I looked at Rotten
6.2.
Tomatoes earlier, and I think it was fairly positive. Now, granted, I mean, Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb are kind of they're modern innovations, so to speak. So they're not.
Right.
I mean, it's not going to be.
You have to balance
super
them
accurate.
out.
I do want to note, though, and this is according to Wikipedia. I can't really fact check it past this. The budget for this film was like $350,000, and they netted $11 million box office dollars, which is
That's
a
damn
hell
impressive.
of a return.
That's a steal. Yeah.
So IMDb had it at 6.3 out of 10.
I think the sequels are like a 5.7, but
Yeah, according to what I'm seeing here, Rotten Tomatoes has it at 82%. Again, though, I mean, that's like Rotten Tomatoes is a little bit iffy because, I mean, critics' consensus at this, I mean.
So are we ready to give our ratings?
Before I give that, the guy who played Mel
Blue Chew. Oh, okay.
died the same year the movie came out.
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah.
That's surprising.
So I'm
Mike
going to give
Kellen
the movie a 3. Give the movie a 3.
A 10?
3 out of 10.
Here's what I'll give it. I'll give it a 3, and then it jumps to a 4 with the ending. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
So before the last 20 minutes of the movie, it was a 1.
There was a point where I almost fell asleep. But that's during the very beginning when there's not a whole lot of development going on. Like the baseball game scene is where I almost fell asleep.
Oh, sure. I mean, that was pointless. I mean, it's tough because, I mean, the movie was like, what, an hour and 35 minutes maybe?
Just about,
and that scene, God, it was completely pointless. But
I thought the last 20 to 30 minutes were really good, though.
Yep, I agree. And that's why I did not give it a 1. And hopefully
a lot of
that's the
killing
worst.
happened in that period of time.
Well, hopefully it and it's not the worst movie we're gonna see. If it is, I'm gonna be very disappointed. But
it's definitely not the worst.
I mean, man, on that.
Don't you worry. I've got movies far worse.
Then we got Mary Shitmas in December.
Mary Shitmas. Ginger Dead Man and Rare.
Yeah, that's my vote for the worst, probably.
Do we have veto power? By the way,
I think that's just something we agree like later, like if we want.
Yeah, we got. I saw it. I think I saw it when I was 12. I liked it then. I haven't seen it in probably over 10 years. Watching it now, I just see how awfully cheesy it is. And
you don't think it held up well?
No.
I
just because of the twist.
Yeah. So for me, I actually did not see it until years and years later. I was always aware of Sleepaway Camp. I actually didn't watch it first time until probably honestly, maybe 3-4 years ago. And I kind of knew the twist going, so it didn't take me by surprise.
Right.
But I think with that in mind, though, for its time, I think I'd give it probably a good 6 or 7 out of 10.
And you got to think that is 1983. Like if we were watching it then, we may have a different opinion on it.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, and the gore factor wasn't totally there, but I think it was for its time, it definitely pushed the envelope. I mean, even today, like that ending is talked about as controversial and groundbreaking. So I mean, they did something right for sure. And I mean, Felissa Rose is still making the horror convention circuit and
selling penis pictures to Charles.
You know what? Hold on. I don't know if you guys were aware of this, and so in a roundabout way, Sleepaway Camp is kind of part of a love story. So Felissa Rose met her husband through the convention scene. Her husband is actually a
mark.
CKY.
Yes, is a mark, but is a member of the band CKY. And he saw her at a horror convention, basically confessed his love for her, or his adoration or whatever of her at the horror convention, and they sort of kept in touch as a result of that.
Is it Bam Margera?
And no. Not far off, but yeah. So I mean, all things considered, I mean, this movie definitely worked out for Felissa Rose. I mean, it made her career, it made her personal life, love life, etc. So I mean, you can't fault it completely. There's definitely some good for sure that came out of this movie. Now, granted, the director, I did do a little bit of IMDb and Wikipedia research. He basically did nothing but Sleepaway Camp related stuff.
Yeah. He didn't need to.
Well, sure, absolutely. I mean, he made $11 million, or a portion of $11 million.
$24 million with inflation.
Sure, but so I'm just based on what I saw on YouTube. Or I'm sorry, not IMDb. He was the executive producer of a trauma film called Toxic Tutu in 2017. that starred the guy who was the Toxic Avenger. I can't.
There's a few. There's like 3 guys.
Yeah. Lloyd Kaufman was part of the movie as well. I didn't do. Apologies, I didn't do spectacular. But yeah. His IMDb resume is fairly limited, other than Sleepaway Camp credits. Most of those were for like just character setting.
Yeah, he's
Toxic
credited.
2.
Yeah. He's credited, like he's given a writing credit for the sequels that he wasn't involved in.
Sure. Yeah. Like I said, I think a credit for character.
Right.
Other than
So, closing thoughts?
Go see Felissa Rose at a convention. She's awesome. And
she's selling penis pictures.
No. Personable, friendly, and
the camera pans out and there's a penis.
Yeah.
So I will say,
had a trip on memory lane watching this, so that's my thoughts.
Yeah, I will say it was a good movie to MST3K. MDK all fucking day. We're gonna get canceled for being part of a gang.
But we're really not, guys. We're really not.
So I enjoyed doing this. As my voice heightens. But yeah, so next week, the week after, for Halloween, we will be covering They Live.
I thought it was The Gate.
And The Gate.
Oh yeah.
Double feature. It's gonna be a pain in the ass to edit, but we'll do it. It's gonna be like a 3-hour review.
Oh God, we're gonna have to talk offline on how we're gonna control this.
I would just. Well, yeah, we'll wait till that.
We'll see how.
My last thing is, you can follow us on Twitter, and I will not spell it out this time, but you can follow us on Twitter at Kill4SportPod, and we also have a Facebook page. Thank you to Kevin, which it's just Killing for Sport Podcast. And you can see me talk about all of the platforms we were on, such as iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio.